You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We've been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on. Till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you
Oh
live.
yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
El Bravo debut album.
You start with the reference to
On all
God.
streaming platforms.
Grew up like a
Featuring hits
dog.
like
Never
Young
had a
Jit,
hardships. Used to not
Stowaway,
be proud.
My
Rockin'
Book of
on
Life,
Starship.
and
Now
many
we
more.
out here
Follow El
going
Bravo
on.
at Lab
Ever
Tech
since I
Music Group.
stepped in the
It's
game,
time.
I done started.
Like a stowaway,
Debut album. Release me.
just like
In
a
stores now.
Your homeland's far away. Take my hand and let me lead, though. I feel like they wanna take me, baby. Where you ready me? Take a shot at the back of my hand and leave me for dead.
El Bravo. Release me. In stores now.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the 3-Yard Play podcast. It's your boy Trip. What up, T-Mo? What's good, LJ?
What's good?
Man, ain't too much good to report right now, to be quite honest, man. They just released the footage of the Tyre Nichols really murder footage, or the events that led to his death. You know, RIP to that young man. So that's really what's been kind of taking over the airwaves and sweeping the nation right now. You know, I was out and about yesterday and I saw a huge police presence and them just deploying officers everywhere, I guess, in preparation for if there's any kind of riots or unrest at all. But I think this is it's just a different feeling amongst the people, because here in this situation, you got 5 black dudes that beat to death another black dude. And like, I think a lot of kind of what was fueling people with the BLM and the protest that we were having that one summer, or you know, seemed like a year or two ago, was the racial aspect of it too, in the midst of the brutality. But this go around is like, well, you don't have that racial piece, but you still have that systematic brutality that can come with excessive force and, you know, police brutality. So people are sad, but it's like, what you hitting the streets behind? It's your own folks done did this to your own folks, you know? So just kind of there with it, man. I ain't mean to be too long with the intro, but shit, that's really, you know, when you ask what's good, man, that's what's good right now. You know?
Yeah, man. I understand. I totally understand. And this is definitely a wrinkle. You know what I mean? When you start talking about officers who are, you know, black or African American, who have treated their own the same way as if we complain about, you know, any other race treating us a certain way. So yeah, I get it, man. It then brings to the light, really, is this more of an institutional idea? You know what I'm saying? As police are being trained in today's society, what are they being trained? You know, is it just a systemic thing? Whether you're, you know, on whether you're a black cop or a white cop, did they tell you that when you see a black male, you should be automatically on, 10 in reaction to whatever that person does? That's what it seems like to me now. It seems like it's just a rampant, just bad training, just terrible training in which they look at us black
Right.
men as targets.
Right, I hear you on that. There's two things that stood out which y'all were talking about. I addressed I just follow up with what you saying first. But that implicit bias piece, man. We're not all, there's a training help. Just cops in general deal with their own biases. You know what I mean? You got to bring all that stuff personally. You got to deal with that personally to know how to not bring it to the street. You have to identify what triggers you have. You know what I mean? You got to figure out. It's a lot that goes into this. You know what I mean? And so, which leads me into the part where it kind of got at me a little bit when you said own folks on our own folks, and it kind of triggered me in a way that made me think, okay, how will people take this seriously? Because there's already a stigma that black folks only kill black folks. And how come y'all don't care when it's your own people? You always talk about cops and yada yada yada. So to get back to some points that you made about it is I do hope that this helps them see that it is a systemic issue. It's when we take to the streets, it's not just about it was a white cop that did it. No, it was a cop that did it. It just so happened to be white this time, which racialized the issue, because we have this. We have racism in this country that exists, but we have a really huge division between cops and the community. Period. Point blank. If you talk to black folks, I'm assuming this about white people. I'm going to say that now. That whenever we talk about cops, they only think a cop is a white person. But how we were utilized by black cops, white cops, Asian cops. It didn't matter. It's just we have a bad relationship with cops and the community. Period. You know what I mean? But it so happened that the issues that were highlighted the most are the ones that are racially motivated. We assume to be racially motivated. We just say that. But we do know it's racially motivated because it's always black and brown people who are victims of this type of assaults and violence. We met with different. So I just wanted to just say those things, and then that I want to just bring this up now for us to kind of move forward on. They released that video, man, but I didn't want to watch it, man.
I ain't watch it either. I agree with you. I ain't watch it. I felt crazy doing the story about it. I wanted to speak on something further that I didn't look at, but it's like, man, the trauma to your psyche, and as many times we've been conditioned with this, that it don't make it no better to see the young man lose his life like that. And so, as I thought about it, I was like, I'd rather more so look up and find out who is Tyre Nichols, and then learn about him. Man, he was a young brother. It seemed like he was close to near his 30s, almost early 30s age. He had a son, and he was very involved in his son's life. So that was something that was important to him. He was a lifetime skateboarder. He had been skateboarding since around almost 6 years old, and he was past his 20s or late 20s, early 30s. So he must have been probably pretty good at that. That's not something you're gonna stay doing if you're not good at it. Right. They said he was also into photography and he liked outdoors. He liked sunsets, and that he had just moved to Memphis pre-COVID. Trying to get there with the COVID situation for opportunities. I guess I figured it'd be better for his life and raising his son. But then during the COVID or shortly thereafter, he got to the point where he wanted to move and was trying to make some moves to possibly move to another city. So, and the brother worked at FedEx. He worked, I think, maybe second shift or so at FedEx. So, brother could have been, us or somebody we knew, and that's the case with a lot of people. But you said something that really stood out, Thomas, when you mentioned implicit bias. That's something that I understood what you meant when you said it. But for young people listening or watching, that means that like just based on who you are, just based on the skin you're in, or the group you identify with, or the beliefs that you share, that basically you already going against prejudice just because of that. You don't even have to open your mouth and say nothing. As soon as you walk up and you one of these, we already not fooling with you, So that's
Right.
something that we do deal with a lot, and it's not really spoken on. But implicit bias is, something that, as a member of a minority community, a quote unquote minority community, is something you kind of deal with, and you have to go through a lot. But LJ, you also mentioned the idea of like the systemic factor of it, and that this is really group think. That's part of the biggest problem. And it's like, how do five dudes stand there
Mm,
and do this to somebody? Ain't nobody like this wrong. Or like,
right.
okay, y'all, even if you don't outright say it's wrong, just like, all right, well, he good. We got him. At this point, I think we could put him over here. But then you recognize, like, nah, that's just not the way. It's something in their psyche or something in their mentality. Like, they just keep turning up. Like, there is no cool down in it. Like,
Right. Real quick though, I do want to say this though, when we did, because you did touch back on the implicit bias. Every human being has biases and prejudices. That's not a racial thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I
Right.
just want to make sure I say that because I don't want it to be assumed that only other people have biases and prejudices. We all do. We all like something or dislike something and put our own spin on what it is that we see. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about that so people understand our perspectives on how as we move forward.
Right. Yeah.
I guess. Nah, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off because I think it's so much implicit bias between us blacks on blacks.
Yeah. It's
I
just
think
a idea, like whatever idea I feel has been established, instilled in society, that when you see a black man, there is always something that you need to be aware of or on guard for. So I think that's just something that has been taught since day one. You know what I mean? So even to the point where, like Trip, you say, we even think of it on our own selves. We look at it as ourselves when we walk in a room. We see another brother, and it's already okay, on guard. So I don't understand I don't know what it's going to take that stigma off of us. But it looks like, this is just a thing that continues to be taught over and over and over and over and over.
Right. And I don't know, like I said, I'm not in the criminal justice field or anything like that, but just let understand the data. You know what I mean? When you look at the statistics and the data, you can spin it to say whatever you want to, but it seems like we're not paying attention directly to the other factors that shape how those statistics came to be. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? In terms of
Right.
all the social problems that exist in all of our communities.
Right.
If we all sat down and just talked about our lives. I'm talking when
Mhm.
I say all, I mean whatever race, nationality, sexual orientation, whatever it is, all those defining factors of how we come up with our identities. If we just talked about our lives, it'd be so much overlap. You know what I mean? In terms of just the I want to say the American experience, since we're in the U.S. of United States of America, we all have very similar overlapping things of what we have to do to live our lives each day. And so when you notice that we're just human beings trying to navigate in a capitalistic society that puts a lot of pressure on us to be, I'm gonna say dog eat dog, survival of the fittest. It's a lot going on. And if we kind of connect more in that space, maybe we'll see our own humanity, you know what I mean? And kind of get past these prejudices and biases, because I don't want to name out any characteristics, because I just believe you are who you are. You know what I mean? And just develop more empathy. And you know what I mean? Just understand and meet somebody where they are.
Yeah, that word. I mean, that word means a lot. And you saying that, empathy and LJ expounding on what you were saying about kind of, how we even view each other. I think it's something that I wrestle with every day on an individual basis. It's one of those things everybody has to go within and challenge themselves to hold themselves to that standard. Because I know I go through the same thing as I move around the community. And then sometimes I run up in a situation, I can tell my energy or how I'm looking at folks. And I check myself like, bro, I'm bringing this energy to the situation and what I'm looking at and I'm putting out. So then at the same time, I, within my own spirit, just self talk to me, man, you the same way you had the arguably the evil eye towards that. Now you need to put blessings on that situation, that individual. The same. Now, do you, instead of rolling up and seeing three young men standing there And you think like this, like, nah, these 3 young men might go on to invent cars that run by water. They might go on to be, just great minds in some whole other sense, do something that could change the world. So I need to be able to see our people in that same positive light, which is tough because when you look at it and the aesthetics are not pleasing. When you see that's a large part of how we're treated too, because when you look at the community is run down, just the infrastructure, the buildings, the roads, the way it's handled. And some people feel like, oh yeah, because we handle it like that, but then to some degree it just not care. So as you looking around and you see rundown things, then you want to treat the people run down, or you want to deal with them the same way you see the items. Now you look at them as just, I don't know how to quite put in words, but when you go to Buckhead, you're gonna handle people different because it's a nice area, and as you look around, everything is nice, so you're more conscientious of how you move. Versus
Right.
you come somewhere.
And a lot of that has to do with district lines and redistricting, and you know allocating those funds. That's why they draw those lines like that, so that some of those funds get diverted from some of those lesser communities. And that's the problem. Like over time, it just continues to happen. We keep like what do they call it, white flight, when blacks would move into affluent neighborhoods, and and 10 years later, most of the whites have moved out, and with that have taken all the economic power as well. So then it becomes worn down. Like some places, I even look at my dad. My dad said when he went to Columbia High School, it was basically all white. You know, so now you look at it fast forward, and it's a different type of setting. You know what I'm saying? So it's wild how uh, that whole political structure is designed to kind of keep, and it helps in keeping that bad stigma, or that visual stigma that you're talking about, Trip. Keep it going. You know what I mean?
Right. With two quick things, because I know we're running up on time.
Mm.
I love the fact that, Trip, you mentioned how your the energy that you bring into a situation. And I guess I'm making a huge generalization when I say this, but a lot of times people just match your energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or if you bring bad energy into a situation, you
set the tone.
You already set the foundation for what it's going to be, because
Right.
you weren't open-minded enough to accept it, whatever was going on in that situation. And then I want to just say real quick, you talked about the white flight and all this stuff, and like your dad was saying about everybody moving to the suburbs, basically.
Yeah.
And now, especially in Atlanta now, with all this traffic, now they want to come
back.
They're trying to come back in, and so we have a lot of. We talked about this previously, but the housing, you know what I mean? Where we got people, it's unaffordable, you know what I mean? And so, and they're going to continue to do that, so it's looking in reverse to push you
back out.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot going on, man.
Yeah. And let me ask y'all this: when as an educated brother, when y'all are out and y'all encounter authorities, do you ever feel the need to over I guess, I don't know, explain or try to exude that energy that you are, an educated brother, that you are not from
Nah,
the hood? Do you ever feel like
I did. I feel like I went through a wide range of emotions, man. There was a point initially I felt like, yeah, you want to state and make them know, hey, everything cool. And then there was a time of just being upset and like I almost wanted to be more of a problem. Like, motherfucker, you already know it's fuck you, just cuz.
Right.
And then, getting to a point now of just, honestly, I just look at them as folks doing their jobs. It's just a person doing their job. The best thing I could do is just maintain minimal contacts and stay out of your jurisdiction. If I really don't want to fool with you and don't want to go through what it could be in doing that part of, the citizen police process, then just stay out your fucking way. Not saying like avoiding you, dodging you, but like drive like I drive when I'm driving, drive conscientious, travel consciously, move consciously, don't get into no assaults and batteries with no people, don't do nothing to nobody where I have to get in where we have to have an interaction.
Right.
And a lot of times they got their hands so full, they generally don't got no time to fool with you. But then I also got to the point where I started not even worry about that. It's just like, man, it's just somebody here doing their job. I can shoot the shit with them the same way you shoot the shit with anybody else if you feel like it. So sometimes you go in the store, you're gonna have more joking and back and forth with the clerk, and sometimes you're not, you know.
Right.
So a lot of times when it's like, bro, shit, what time you get off? 6. Oh, I get off at 5. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cool. That's
Right.
about what it is, because they just trying to get back to the house, most of them. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, real quick for me, I got pulled over about a month or so ago for running a stop sign, and I know I ain't running no damn stop sign because I'm particular about it. I know that's a big thing. I might not have sat there 5, 6, 7 seconds or whatever he might have thought I
Right.
should have done. When he put it on, I ran a stop. You ran a stop sign. First, man, you know, my mom,
Right.
I didn't damn stop sign, but I just met him like, dang. I said, my bad. You know, I said, ooh, I can't stand when people do. I just, to your point, Trip, I just talked to him like it's any old other brother, any old man, you know, respecting that he's doing his job, and we had a good dialogue about it. And then he just let me off with a warning. But I didn't meet him like the opposition, if you will.
Right.
I don't know if that really mattered. You know what I mean? That's just what I assume. But
Right.
he might just was gonna give me a warning anyway. I don't know. But we had cordial dialogue. You know what I mean? And I wasn't too defiant. I want to use that and say that if you follow orders, you still won't get jacked up in our community. You know what I mean?
Right.
He need to go the other way. You know what I mean? So I want to imply that if only these people would have listened. You know what I mean? I don't want to go that route.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying it's just my survival tactic. That's probably a better way to say it.
Hell yeah.
But I thought would get me out of that situation without any further nonsense, if you will.
Yeah, you know, I just think it's naturally ingrained in our society because we've had so many encounters, you know, that were negative that we have to be on guard. You know what I mean? Or we're always on guard to be prepared for the worst. You know, I look at some of my white friends who may get pulled over. That is the farthest from their mind on on average. Like, okay, just give me the ticket. Okay, what was it? You know, and keep it moving. But when I get stopped, I'm not even joking, bro. I know it's like, okay, all right, make sure he don't see I ain't got nothing in my hand. You know, I ain't moving crazy. Yes, sir. No, sir. And those things are reality because I've had, you know, my run in with the law. So I understand, you know, how it can get. So, you know, man, it is taxing. You know, every day as a black man, you wake up and you wonder, you know, who this time, you know what I'm saying? But that's it, y'all. Hopefully, they'll find a program in the system that will finally work for them, which will eventually work for us if they continue to, you know, change their training or something like that. Man, it just seems like it's such a big system wide thing, bro. So hopefully they do. You know, in the meantime, we just got to guard ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. And the question, man, we do have to ask that question, man. Does it work for you? You know, that's just kind of what you got to gauge. And RIP to Tyre Nichols. It's you know, it's a shame when people become famous, or we just know them just for them passing, or just the process of which they pass, man. But you know, sending you energy to your loved ones and you, man, like that's a shame, brother.
Absolutely. Always.
Condolences.
In his memory. 3R Play Podcast, we out. Y'all like, share, subscribe. Please comment below. Let us know your thoughts, you know, as to how do we affect this, because it is a huge problem that we are, you know, everybody would like to see resolved. So, you know, what can happen to help, you know, police and citizen interactions.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all. We out.
Peace.
Peace.
And as many across the country will be introduced to Tyre Nichols today, his friends have a message of how they want people to remember him and the face they want them to see.
He had so many great, things about him, and I can't think of one bad thing about this man either, bro.
Like I said, he touches anybody he gets around. He's a fantastic person, and that's how I really want everybody to remember him.
Now, the friends that I've talked to over the last 2 days have all indicated some degree of mixed feelings around whether or not they're going to take a look at that body cam release footage. But one thing that they did tell me is that the thing that they're going to be looking at more than anything are those decades-old YouTube videos to remember their friend as he was then. There is a candlelight vigil here scheduled for Monday at 6:30 p.m. A lot of people going to be coming from out of town to rally around this community and honor their friend.
New Black Magic Jr. album, Riot's Work, coming soon. Featuring bangers like How Deep, Cursed, the Poland Remix, Rolling One, and many more. Also be sure to check out the album Sleep Well and Breaking Cases of Mercy.
Alien technology that took the skull and bones symbol first for all of y'all to see. Black magic in the flash, hacking through the algorithm, killing shit the best.
New Black Magic
Bulls
Jr.
running full court press. Jordan back after getting shit off his chest.
The truth is the hardest shit.
You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
Thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your free yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. We gon' water season, watch that harvest flow. I've been crunching numbers.
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
and grind the slow is better than crashing out
we
the
get
dough.
that money bound for it, we don't run it.
Say, young brothers, remember,
fulfill the promise.
I ain't never every yard, every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and mine had to
been
do
rocking
it
with
or die
the
every
3
single
Yard Play
night.
podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe, share,
we gon' water season,
let's
watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby never hunger.
3
When
Yard
we
Play
get that money
podcast.
bound for it, we don't run it. I only
Put a
pledge
focus on
allegiance
to
to go fulfill the promise.